Trent Richardson hails from Central Queensland and he has been releasing music since 2024. Since then, he has been winning fans and chart positions with his upbeat songs that are all about appreciating life. His latest single is Run to You. I have a few questions to ask him. Hi, Trent. Good to meet you.
Hey Sophie, how are you? It's nice to meet you too.
I'm very well, thank you. And I'm going to start because with something perhaps a little unusual. I read a description of you as a cowboy camel farmer from Central Queensland. So I thought I have to go there first. I have to ask about the camels.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I was known as there for my time on Australian Idol. But yes, I've brought up on a camel farm. So mum and dad and the family had been given camel rides and racing camels since since I was a pup. So it's definitely a different one. But yeah, so we've just been. I was brought up on a property with camels and ostriches and goats and sheep and all the rest of it. So then my time on Idol is where I got put into the CQ Camel Farmer, and that was my name. And it's funny now because people actually still see me in the street and they go, "Oh, there's that old camel farmer." So
All right. So you were on Australian Idol in 2024, and I will ask a question about that later. But because you
yep,
mentioned other animals there, that tells me even more about your childhood, which is that it sounds like you were basically at work from a young age. You were
yeah,
looking after animals.
yeah. No, the old man had us busy. That's for sure. I can remember it and see it clear as day. I'd get mates over and I'd say, "Oh, we got friends over, but Dad," and he'd go, "Nope, they come here to work," and we'd be down there breaking camels in and racing goats and worm and sheep or doing whatever. So it was good though. I loved it, and yeah, it was the best years, best days, best childhood. So
Any of those animals that you really did not like or didn't want to work with?
yeah, there was definitely one that was Lemon. She got a name because she was a bit of a sour bitch. So
Was that a camel you're talking about, or like a goat?
yeah, yep.
Okay.
No, that was a camel. Yeah, no, yeah, she was a that thing was like human. Like she was just oh. But anyway, there's always one. There's always one. It's like any family. There's always one.
Yeah, true, true, true. Therefore, given you were pretty busy from a young age, I'm wondering when music came into your life. Like, did you have time to learn an instrument in childhood?
Yeah, not really, to be honest. And the music was a bit of a late one for me. I didn't really know that I was, I sort of had that musical ear. I mean, I liked music throughout early years of school and things like that. But I picked up the recorder back in the day, and I think I might have strummed a few chords with the whole music thing. But apart from that, yeah, it was sort of very late on that I didn't pick one up till, and then I just fell in love with it. It wasn't till, yeah, probably a couple, 2 or 3 years, yeah, probably 3 years ago now. So I've just self-taught and all the rest of it. But I love it now. It's like a drug. I'm hooked. So
Did you happen to be given a guitar, or did you actually make a decision to buy a guitar and learn it?
no, I went and bought one. I bought my first guitar, yeah, from Takamine, and I've still got it. And it was actually yeah, it's like my I know it's hard to explain. My partner Gab's always, it's always around the house and stuff, and I'm always like, be careful, because it was the first sort of, you know, musically instrument that I ever bought to myself, and it cost me, a few dollars, but yeah, I suppose it's special to me because it's sort of like, it highlights me and the journey and when it all sort of started too. So yeah,
Yeah, it's a precious relic. I understand
yeah,
that.
100%, yeah, like your first car.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's the guitar playing. When did you start singing?
Oh, Australian Idol. That was when I actually I always sort of like had the thought in the back of my mind. I always loved it, but I didn't think I was any good. I'd sing in the shower and maybe after a couple beers after a footy game, and like every now and then someone would say, "Oh, you go all right, Treno." But then there was a lot of people that I, yeah, past relationships and stuff, had just said I was no good and all the rest of it. So I really bought into that. I thought, well, But then I got to a point in time where I was like, I really want to just go and find out for myself, because it has always been in the back of the mind, but it was like, you can't, you're supposed to be this worker and you're the footy kid, and, you don't sing, sort of thing. So I struggled with that for a while, but then, yeah, really the first time was on national television where I had ever done my first gig and ever sang in front of anyone. Yeah, so it's pretty wild. It's a pretty cool story. I threw myself in the deep end, that's for sure. And it pulled off. I got all the way to the bloody semi-finals for someone who'd never done a gig in their life. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Well, and yes, you've asked my answered my next question for me, which was that was your debut performance. But I'm wondering, given that you hadn't done some performing before, if that meant because you probably had no expectations of what it was going to be like to have an audience, but also what it was going to feel like for you, whether you're going to have nerves or whatever else. So it could have been a superpower in that moment to just to go in there
Yeah,
just completely open to whatever was coming next.
100%. I think it worked in my favor too because a lot of the song choices I even got to, and they didn't try and mold me too much. They said, "Look, Trent, we're not going off much here, mate. So just be yourself and show us why you're on the show and why you got through the auditions and all the rest of it." So I think obviously the storyline helped. A bit of heartbreak. Being on a farm and all the rest of it was pretty cool for TV. But then also like I got told I was, the weakest vocal and I wouldn't last more than round one and all the rest of it. But I got through and, round after round after round after round. And I just sort of winged it in a way, but I just stayed to myself and thought, you know what, I'm just going to give it everything. I'm not going to go out there and try do this or watch that video and be like that. I'm like, just go out the stage and and just sing and have fun with it. And I think that was my biggest thing. I just wanted to really enjoy because I loved it. I did. I was like, I can't wait to do this and get out there and sing to a crowd and, move around and, so no, I was very, very grateful for it. So,
Well, and it's interesting someone telling you that you're the weakest vocal, because always in performance, and I think in terms of how audiences respond, the vocal is technically part of it, but of course, what the audience is responding to is the whole performance. And as you just said,
absolutely.
you
Yeah.
loved it, so
Yeah.
that
Yep.
energy would have gone into everything you did.
100%. I think that's what really helped me is, I used to hear it. I can still hear it from Marsha and all the rest of them. They said, look, you're not the strongest vocalist. You're not. But what you have is everything else. You've got the charisma, the state. I sound like I'm tooting my own horn here, but it was good to hear because I knew that vocally, okay, I was up against some big singers and still now, but also it was the first time I'd ever sang, so I was also trying to. I never knew what I sounded like in a way too, so I was trying to find. What do I sing or what's my lane? Because I was getting these songs to sing that I'd never sing. I'd never, I never really heard. I heard of Matchbox and Rihanna, and then it was Walk the Moon, and then it was Michael Bublé. Like then it was Brian Adams. Like I was just doing everything. So, but it paid off because I got to like. If I didn't get those songs and those challenges, I wouldn't have probably performed the way I would have done them. If I got the love sad ballads or I might have just stayed in my own shell sort of thing. So it was a good opportunity that I got to yeah do what I did I suppose. So
Yeah, so it seems like you're someone who embraces, well, new adventures for one thing, that
absolutely,
you
yeah.
don't actually stop yourself from doing something. Like you tend to say yes to things rather than no. So I'm wondering whether that's actually been true all your life, and maybe it is to do with the fact that you had this interesting upbringing where you had all these different
Yeah.
things going on with different animals and whatever else.
Yeah, absolutely. That's fair. Yeah, 100%. I reckon, just sort of, whether the dad or, mum said do this or, it's like, oh, I don't want to get back. I don't want to get on the back of that feral goat. Come on. Well, right, you do it, sort of just, it was definitely different. But also, like, I don't know. I really got to a point in my life where I didn't want to, I looked at it like I'm 22 or halfway to 40. We're not here forever. And I just thought, I'm just going to, life's too short. It is. And that's literally what just drives me every day, day by day, no matter what you're going through life. It's a blessing to be here and be healthy and, get an opportunity to sing. And, also I love it because I get to show people that, you know, have been told they're no good or they're not this or, that myself coming from the farm and things. And, I didn't have everything handed to me as a kid, but, I've found my own way and, you know, yeah. So go and give things a crack. That's probably and I still say it to this day. Like even with doing gigs and I remember it was at the Gabba, 36,000 people singing there at half time, and I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna go and give it a crack. I was crapping me dacks, but yeah. So, but yeah, it still feels surreal sometimes when I look back on the journey, and you know, I give myself a pat on the back every now and then because it's like, what a way to, like it's such a big achievement to do that from nothing. Like I was as green as they get. I'd never
Yeah.
written a song. I actually did. That's a lie. I started to write just before the Idol, but coming off that, I've got, I'm just announced tonight, actually, my seventh single is coming on the 10th of June. And, I'm self-independent. I've had to chase gigs, learn the guitar, book things, talk to people, and just learn songs in general. On Idol was sing for a minute, off you go. Now I'm trying to sing an hour and a half set or whatever, and so it's been good though. I've learned a lot, and that's what I'm grateful for. That a couple of years after, I'm just starting to find my groove, sort of thing. So it's good.
Trent, I think the key to a lot of what you're talking about is in that line you just said a couple of minutes ago. I don't want to get on the back of that feral goat. But you gave it a crack anyway, because I had got this image of this child looking at this wild animal, basically, that has horns
Yeah,
and is going to do
just
whatever.
I
And
can
you
just
and you went
picture
and
it.
did it.
Yeah, I did, and I think that's it's got me to where I am now, and just take opportunities, and you know listen to that voice, when you're lying in bed at night. That's probably my big thing. I see it too clearly. I someone asked the other day, "Oh, what's the dream? Or what do you see yourself doing in this whole music thing?" And I said, honestly, selling out stadiums. I don't know when it's going to happen, but Rome wasn't built overnight, and it's been a couple of years since the journey started, so I'm still very fresh now. But I just know that that's what I want to do, and it'll happen. I know it'll happen because I feel like if you want something enough, you'll get it, and if you don't stop, well, if you don't quit, well, you can't not get it. So
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned earlier with when you said you picked up the guitar, you said now I'm addicted to it. I'm wondering if it's playing guitar and singing that lights you up the most, or whether it actually is performance, if that makes sense.
yeah, 100%. I feel like the whole thing in general. Like I think even writing music about. I feel like for myself, and maybe a lot of artists would say the same thing. It's like therapy. Like for me, it's like the way of getting things off your chest and talking, and then singing it, and being able to sing it to someone, or someone to listen to it and relate to it. I think that's so powerful. Like just to be able to, even previously, like releasing songs and stuff, and then hearing from people like, oh, I feel ya, or like that really hits the spot stuff. Like I just think that's awesome. I just sent a snippet of my little fella the other day, a personal one about him, and things like that, and the feedback you get from people that have experienced something similar. It's just cool. I think it's just, yeah, yeah, we're all very a lot similar than a lot of people think. We've all got a lot
Yeah.
of things in common. So
Now, your little fella is Archie, and he is not quite 1 year old. I am wondering if he approves of your lullaby singing.
he does. He hears "You Are My Sunshine" every night, and he loves it. He hasn't
Oh.
told me to shut up yet. I mean, he's 8 months. He doesn't have a choice. But no, my partner Gav always says that, like if I'm away, or there was this one time that he reckoned he was chucking a nanny anyway, and she got the old Spotify out and started playing a few songs, and yeah, she sent me a video of him, like looking around and hearing it, like like that's dad, sort of thing. So, and that melts me, and that drives me to show him, even like keep going, when things get tough, because it's tough being an independent artist and trying to have an everyday job, and then provide for a family, and pay rent and all the rest of it, and try and record singles, but
Yeah.
you just got to keep going, and finding a way. Maybe go and rob a bank.
Well, or you robbed the bank of you, which is your ideas bank. That's my little segue there.
Yeah,
'Cause you did
yeah.
release your first song in the same year as Idol, so 2024. The song was By My Side. Last year you released three singles, and I can certainly hear that there's been already been this sonic evolution for you through those songs to what you've been doing this year. So I'm wondering, in terms of what you like to listen to, whether you found that your taste has actually evolved over that time, or was it more just a case of you working out what you wanted to do most as an artist?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like what I listen to normally. I mean, I've always listened to that country pop. I love Keith Urban. He's probably a really big like inspiration on um, but like, yeah, I definitely think that country pop rock, sort of that vibe, where I think I'll veer into, and I feel like that's sort of come out of my last few songs, in that like poppy sort of country, and even folk, even Run to You, my latest single. I feel like that's even got a bit of folk in it. So, but yeah, I think that's cool too, to explore genres, and I sort of write a song or record it, and then I'll play it on my guitar, and I'll go like, I don't ever go like, oh, that's not country enough, I won't do it. I sort of go like, if I like it and I think there's potential there, and I feel, I'm in the feel of it, when I'll be like, that's a good song, I'm going to record it. So, um, but yeah, I definitely think that I mean, country's home. I'm a country person. That's how I was brought up. So I think that'll always be a part of me. But yeah, I'm not gonna. I don't think I'll be. You know, I reckon. Yeah, country rock pop's probably where I'm gonna suit. I think so.
Yeah. Well, yes, and what you've released thus far has been really great country pop, and I because I love country pop, I also love country rock. So I'm very much enjoying listening to it. But let's talk about Run to You, which is the latest single. When did you write it?
I wrote that one. Probably that would be the second. I think that was the second song I ever wrote. I co-wrote that with a good mate of mine, Dan Pam, and we started it literally 3 years ago. So it's been a long
Yeah.
time in the works. And I think I'd just come out of a relationship, and I sort of looked at it like, I think from a perspective of even her, like, and a lot of people, the grass ain't greener. And I think it was like, I got left, but then I think that old love sort of thought, what have I done, sort of thing,
Right.
and regretted it. So, and I think it happens a lot. And I started it, and I left it there for a bit, and I just did the idol journey, and it was always there. And I just, I was just listening to like just life, relationships, and things, and just taking into, um, account what people would say. And a lot of I'd always hear is, oh, this person with this person they regret it, or this person's, the grass ain't greener. I think that line really stood out for me. And yeah, I didn't rush it. I was a bit worried when I released it a couple of weeks back now that everyone's like, oh no, she's left him or whatever, because he just hit us with two love upbeat ones about his partner, and then he's pulled this out. So, but no, that's not the case. But it was just, I really liked the melody and the lyrics and the chorus and all of it, and I didn't want to rush it. So just waited to get it, fully finished, written, and then went and caught up with good Stewart, the producer, the one and only, and yeah, brought it to life. And I think it's an absolute killer. So
Well, as I said at the top, your songs do have a bit of a theme, I think, of appreciating life, appreciating the
yeah,
detail of life. And it's not, it also doesn't sound to me like it's this forced kind of, we must be
mm,
grateful kind of mentality. It's actually a genuine appreciation. So I'm wondering if
yeah,
that's something you've developed even in recent years, or were you always that kid as you were growing up as well?
yeah. And I suppose that's, yeah. I think just over the years, and just becoming who we are as people. You appreciate things, and you learn things, and you see a lot too. I feel like I've seen a lot of things in my life, and I probably take it on board. It probably just sits there, subconsciously, and then the pen comes to paper, singing, playing the guitar. It's sort of all just, it just comes out. So
Yeah. Is there a particular time of day or night where you find you write best? Some songwriters, for example, will say it's like in the dead of the night is when they're almost when they're exhausted that they're going to write the best.
I feel like mine is probably my ADHD brain when I'm lying in bed and I'm shutting my eyes, and I'll be something will come to me, or I'll think about something, and I'll start thinking of a little melody in my head, and I'll have to get up. I have to get up and write, whether it's 3 words or it's 1 word or it's a scene or a setting. I'm like, I've got to put that down because I know I'll forget it. I'll forget it. But and I always just like jot things in my notes on my phone throughout the day. Sometimes I've got a
Mhm.
little notebook there at work, and I'll just, every now and then, if it's a bit of inspiration, or, if I get that little flashback memory of something that's happened in life, or a memory pops up on your phone, or you see something that, in the real world, you're like, oh, I remember something like that happened to me. And then yeah, I don't know. But I probably write the most, probably just before bed. Um,
Mm.
and I feel like also that's also me, like, it's a good way to go to bed too. I feel like, depending on what I'm writing about, hopefully it's nothing too sad, and I think about it all night. But yeah, probably before bed. Sometimes, just in the morning, I'll wake up, even from a dream, or I'll see something. Yeah, sort of just
Yeah.
whenever. I sort of just jot bits and pieces down throughout, and then I'll say to myself once every now and then, like on the weekend, I'll say, look, I'm going to sit down and go through this 250 notes on my phone and 300 voice memos of like 5 second little and ahs and stuff. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm bad for. But anyway,
Well, it's a rich treasure trove to draw from as well. So you mentioned earlier, you said when you were growing up, you didn't think you could be like the footy kid as well as the singer, and I do think it's unfortunate when we try to make people choose between those sorts of
Mm.
things. But
Yeah.
on the footy front, I did see on your Instagram you with some kit on. You have been playing recently, so you're obviously in a team still.
Yeah, I still play for the Emu Park Emus, local A grade down there. Yeah, and footy was a big part. I've played it since I was 6 years old, and I really thought I was going to be playing in the NRL probably 5 years ago. When I was 20, I come down to Ipswich to play for the Jets, and I played Capras, and I was going to get my Q Cup debut and all the rest of it, but had some family stuff happen, and then I headed home. And then but everything happens for a reason. I wouldn't change a thing, because I've got to find a dream that I've loved, and I've got to be a dad and meet my partner, and all those things wouldn't have happened if those things didn't happen. So, but I could still choose now. But the music's definitely where my heart is. I've got a bit of an injury at the moment from the footy, and if I could choose, well, I have chosen. I put a lot of time and financial into my music, and really trying to yeah, just to show people that I want to do it. I was worried there if I'm playing footy and I'm singing, are people going to think I'm serious with it? Like, how many musicians actually commit to playing, serious footy every weekend as well? So I've had to step back away from the footy a bit. It hurts, but I know that yeah, the music is where the heart is, and that's what I want to do. And I want to be 40 years old, and not busted. So
Right. Yeah. But it's also a practical consideration because a lot of gigs take place on the weekends. And if you're playing footy,
100%.
you know.
Yeah, and even booking gigs. I'm performing at a festival in July, Billawheeler, Winterfest, and I've been asked to play footy in the next couple of weeks, but it's like, look, they've got advertisement around town, and people are expecting me, and I've been doing band rehearsals and things, and I'm like, oh yeah, sorry, I can't make it because I'm playing footy, or I've been injured playing footy. It just looks a little bit like, so it's been a hard pill to swallow, but I'm proud of myself because it's proved to myself that every now and then I'll play a bit of carnival footy and stuff, but I've really sort of, I'm not saying I've hung up the boots, but because I need to show the little fella one day that his old man still got it. So
Now there's more than one Queensland team in the NRL to support. Do you support a Queensland team though, or do you
yeah,
support a team?
absolutely. I'm gonna have to wrap this up before 7:30, hopefully, because the Bronx are playing.
We're definitely going to wrap it up. At the time we're speaking, it's 6:36 p.m. on a Saturday night. Okay, so it's the Broncos for you.
Yeah, I'm a Bronx man. Always have been. My cousin played from last year, Kobe Hetherington, and that obviously lent me towards to even stay with him. But I've been a fan before that for since I can remember, since I was a little boy. So
Well, and also I'm in New South Wales, so we of course can't have the state of
oh,
origin conversation.
I
I
gotta go.
know.
I gotta run.
I know. Mate against mate,
Nah,
state against state.
nah, that's it. That's it. It's all love.
It is all love. Well, Trent, I am going to let you go because you won't want to prepare to watch the Bronx play.
Nah, it's
But
all good.
it has been great to speak to you. Thanks for your time.
No worries. Thanks heaps, Sophie. Appreciate it.